Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for Bellator 120, Jackson versus Lawal, which happens on May 17th. This card was originally supposed to have the trilogy fight between Michael Chandler and Eddie Alvarez, but Alvarez got injured pretty recently, and now Chandler's going to fight Will Brooks. Which is really unfortunate, actually. I was really looking forward to Chandler versus Alvarez. And even people who doubted this pay-per-view felt that the Chandler versus Alvarez fight at least made it credible, I guess credible enough for it to deserve to be on for this whole card to be on pay-per-view. For some people. Another fight that was lost was Marcin versus Patricky Pitbull Freire. Now Marcin will fight Nate Jolly. So yeah, it's still a very good card. The main card's solid. The prelims are pretty good. Really well matched fights. The Spike.com prelims has a bunch of unknowns. Otherwise, this is definitely one of the best Bellator cards out there. Let's get started. On the main card, the main event, we have Quinton Rampage Jackson versus Muhammed King Mo Lawal. Well, King Mo has a 12-3 record with 1 no contest, 9 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by decision. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO to Emmanuel Newton and Rafael Feijão. 33 years old. I believe he's training at ATT for this fight. He's a former Strikeforce light heavyweight champion. He's a very strong wrestler. He's a guy that will really chain takedowns really well together. His ground and pound is very strong and fight ending. And his boxing is good. It's kind of digressed in a sense, though. Sometimes he doesn't put his hands back where it needs to be, or his positioning's not where it needs to be. But yeah, solid fighter. Quinton Rampage Jackson, 34-11 record, 16 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. He's 35 years old on a 2-fight win streak. He's a former UFC light heavyweight champion. He has good boxing, heavy hands. He has 1-punch knockout power. His overall defense is pretty good. His takedown defense is good as well. I mean, you didn't really see it too much in, like, say, the Bader fight, the Rashad Evans fight, or even the Glover Teixeira fight. But at his best, he has shown very solid takedown fights. You can even watch, like, the John Jones fight, and the guy was not getting taken down very easily from him. He also has a good chin as well. The thing with Rampage, I mean, he is 35, he's getting older, but, with a lot of his contemporaries, I mean, I think he's kind of shown signs of slowing down. It really showed in the Glover Teixeira fight and the Bader fight. His wins over Beltran and Mpumbu kind of makes him look like he's in something of a resurgence. In the Beltran fight, he was actually using knees, leg kicks, and whatnot. So he's actually been looking pretty good. He doesn't look too like that much on a decline, as opposed to, say, like a Tito Ortiz or like Shogun even, or just some of these fighters from like that generation. He hasn't been looking that bad lately. I mean, in the UFC though, he wasn't looking the greatest either. But as far as looking strong, I gotta say King Mo's performances as of late haven't been the greatest either. His fight against Michal Zayats, I mean, clinching, couple takedowns. is kind of a grinder. And even his fight before that, well, there's the Newton fight, and then there's a fight before that against a guy whose name escapes me. You know, not too impressive. I heard he's had a really bad staph infection that just really depleted him, and I think some surgeries as well. And I think it shows in his performance. Rampage, you know, I think he's had like some knee surgeries and whatnot. I also see him in the gym a lot too. I train at Rampage Fitness Academy. Generally at the same time, I always see the guy. He's training hard. I see him training with like Gavin Starrett. I see Travis Clark there. I've seen Antonio McKee there as well a couple times. And Jason Mayhem Meller I see a lot too. So obviously I'm going to be a little biased. But honestly, putting that aside, I gotta say I'm definitely more impressed with how Rampage has been looking as of late, as opposed to how King Mo has been looking as of late. I'm gonna go with Rampage to win this one. It's predicated though on whether or not he can defend the takedowns. I think on the feet he'll be able to do well, but it's really predicated on the wrestling. If Rampage can defend takedowns from King Mo, he has a really good shot of winning it. If not, he'll probably get laid on. Next fight after that, Will Brooks fights. Oh, and that fight too was for the light heavyweight tournament final. The next fight after that, it's for the interim lightweight title as Michael Chandler fights Will Brooks. Will Brooks has a 13-1 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. He's 27 years old on a 4-fight win streak. If I'm not mistaken, he's also training at ATT these days. Other places have it that he's training on like the Midwest Fight Center. He's a strong wrestler. Something of a grinder though. You know, you can watch like the John Alessio fight, Syed Awad fight. I mean, he'll throw ground and pound, but he'll also grind when he needs to. His kickboxing is improving, and he has shown some really strong kicks. Needless to say, he is athletic and explosive as well. Michael Chandler, 12-1 record. Pretty similar records as far as just the number goes. As far as the resume goes, Chandler's fought the higher level competition. Chandler has 5 wins by KO or TKO and 5 wins by sub. He's 28 years old, training out of Alliance. He's a former Bellator lightweight champion. He's a strong wrestler himself. He's really good at completing takedowns against a cage. His wrestling style is very reminiscent to me of Sean Shirk, actually. And also his build is very reminiscent of Sean Shirk to me. His boxing has been greatly improving, and he's been showing some real heavy hands and knockout power. Knocked out David Rickles, for example. And his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's solid as well. He showed that against like Rick Hahn. I mean, took his back, sunk in that rear naked choke real easily. This fight's really interesting, though. I think you have to give Will Brooks a little credit here. I think he's going to be a bit overlooked, because I'm curious to see how the wrestling plays out in this fight. You know, both are pretty strong wrestlers. So that part's going to be really interesting. And Will Brooks has been steadily improving. I gotta wonder if Will Brooks is at the level of his like development as a winner of a Bellator lightweight tournament as Michael Chandler was when he won the lightweight tournament. Like, was Michael Chandler that far ahead? Because I remember the first time he fought Eddie Alvarez, I thought it was just too much too soon, and then he ended up winning, you know. So that's the thing with Will Brooks. You know, it's easy to see Michael Chandler having these wars with Eddie Alvarez knocking dudes out, but Will Brooks, you know, greatly improving in every fight. He's developing nicely. I still see some greenness with him though. You know, this is a guy that'll like take a guy down. He kind of like, I remember he fought Alessio and he kind of like lifted him up to like, it looks like to slam him, but all it did was allow like Alessio to get back to his feet. It was really odd. I think it was Alessio, if I'm not mistaken. So you still see some greenness with Will Brooks. You know, I think it'll be a very competitive fight, but I'm going to go with Michael Chandler. He's fought the stronger level of competition, namely Eddie Alvarez. Because Will Brooks fought like Sarnovsky. That was a really good win. Sadawad's not a bad win. And also with Chandler, he's shown some heavy-handedness as well. His cardio didn't look too great against the last fight in Eddie Alvarez, but they go a pretty torrid pace every time he fights Alvarez. So that's something to consider as well. I gotta wonder what the wrestling. If Chandler can't get his wrestling down, for example, does he get tired? Will Brooks seems to have really good cardio, but nonetheless, I'll go with Michael Chandler to win this one. But I'll definitely keep an eye out for Will Brooks. I've been pretty high on him, and I think for a good reason. He's definitely, I think, a blue chip prospect. Okay, next fight after that, Tito Ortiz fights Alexander Shlemenko. This is a non-title fight. I believe it's a 2-0 fight at 205 pounds. Well, Tito Ortiz, 16-11 record with 1 draw. 8 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. That's just 4 losses by KO or TKO and 2 losses by sub. He's 39 years old on a 3-fight losing streak. Trains out of Team Punishment. He also, if I'm not mistaken, he hasn't fought in a while. He's always coming off of surgeries as well. Let me see, former UFC light heavyweight champion. He, at his best, he's a good wrestler with really strong ground and pound. His boxing's decent. He did manage to like drop Ryan Bader and Forrest Griffin actually too. Decent but not great. It's kind of robotic, you know, but it's actually better than it's been for a while. His cardio though has shown to be pretty weak. He's pretty strong in the first round. If you actually look in the second Rashad Evans fight, or like the Forrest Griffin's, like all the Forrest Griffin fights, he's really good in the first round, and then he steadily starts to decline in the following rounds. I would definitely say he's something of past his prime. He's coming off a lot of surgeries and whatnot. And I will say, I think he's weak to the body as well. Nogueira managed to finish him with body punches. Rashad Evans, body strike. I think it's that knee to the body is really good. The other Machida managed to drop him with a knee to the body. And he fights Alexander Shlemenko, who has a 50-7 record. 29 wins by KO or TKO. 8 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by submission. He's 29 years old on a 13-fight win streak, training out of Rust Fighters. He is the Bellator middleweight champion, but the title's not being defended. And he's a guy that uses a lot of body strikes. So that's going to be really interesting. I mean, he finished Doug Marshall with body strikes. I think he finished Mikael Falco with... I remember he hit him in the body, which really dropped him, like hurt him, and then he finished him off with head strikes. And I believe he was aiming at the body a lot against Brennan Ward as well. He's a strong kickboxer. He'll use a lot of spinning strikes. He has a strong chin, strong cardio. This guy goes 5 rounds, and pretty, you know, like not laying pretty tight fights either, too. You know, watch the Brett Cooper fights. What other ones that go 5? You know, he's in the fight. He's always pushing forward. He's super aggressive, and he actually has a good Brazilian, pretty good Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and good counter wrestling. Meaning that, like, when he gets taken down, he's good at getting back to his feet. You know. The thing that's to look out for in this fight, though, is the size. Tito Ortiz is a big 205er, whereas Alexander Shlemenko looks like a blown-up welterweight that regularly fights at middleweight. So there's going to have a huge size disadvantage for Alexander Shlemenko. Things going for Shlemenko is age, just overall wear and tear on his body. Considering he has so many fights, Alexander still fights really well. Whereas Tito Ortiz, he looks kind of past his prime. He looks shot worn. And even stylistically, a guy that hits the body a lot versus a guy that's shown susceptible to body strikes. I gotta go with Shlemenko. You know, even though he is the much smaller fighter, I think he definitely has the better overall skill set to beat Tito Ortiz, in my opinion. Yeah. Next fight after that, we have Michael Venom Page versus Ricky Rainey. Ricky Rainey, 8-2 record, 5 wins by KO TKO, 1 win by sub. He is a good kickboxer, and his takedown defense is actually pretty solid. Michael MVP, as I'll call him, Michael Venom Page, is known for fighting really low level competition. Ricky Rainey, he's not like a blue chip prospect or anything like that, but he is a prospect. He is a solid fighter. I'd actually recommend watching this fight against Diego Lima. And Diego Lima is a really good prospect in his own right. Ricky Rainey he fought him in a split decision loss that I thought he should have won. I believe that was an XFC. So he's not a he's not, the thing with Ricky Rainey is he's not that type of opponent that Michael Page has been just destroying, especially in like Super Fight League. Ricky Rainey, I'm not saying he's some great prospect, but he is a good fighter. Michael Venom Page, though, 5-0, undefeated record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. He's 27 years old. He fights at welterweight, and he's good 6'3". He's pretty tall as a welterweight. He also fights at middleweight sometimes as well. Training out of London Shoot Fighters. He's never been past the first round. But his level of competition, like I said, he fights a lot of guys on like the SFL, like in Indian, like Super Fight League. I mean, they're just utterly overmatched opponents and whatnot. He's a strong kickboxer and just super flashy. I mean, this guy will go for like tornado kicks and just like insane things you've never seen before, One thing that is concerning with MVP, though, he last fought in April 2013. So this really goes down. You have a fight between 2 kickboxers. Ricky Rainey has actually fought the stronger level of overall competition. Michael Venom Page at this time probably just has the more hype and flash. So it just kind of depends. Do you think Page lives up to the hype, or does he not? I'm going with the hype. I'm going to go with Michael Venom Page, MVP for the win. It really is just hype at this point, though, because you don't know how good this guy really is. He's just been fighting pretty much quote-unquote tomato cans up until this point. So, is he really that good, or does he just look that good because his opponents are so bad? Ricky Rainey, like I said, solid fighter, fought the higher level of competition. Not a bad kickboxer in his own right. But nonetheless, I'm going to go with the hype Michael Venom Page for the win here. And the final fight of the main card for the heavyweight tournament final, you have Blagoi Ivanov versus Alexander Volkov. Well, Volkov has a 21-4 record, 16 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He also has 2 losses by submission. He's 25 years old, and he stands at 6'7", whereas Blagoi Ivanov is 5'11". Volkov is on a 2-fight win streak, training out of Rust Fighters, along the lines of Koreshkov and Shlemenko. He's the former Bellator heavyweight champion. Vitaly Minikov managed to beat him. He's a strong kickboxer, really good kicks. You saw that against Mighty Mo. He's a good combination striker as well. I believe he has like a karate background, if I'm not mistaken. And I say this with a lot of like karate, taekwondo practitioners that go into MMA. Well, actually, it's just mainly karate practitioners that go into MMA. They tend to be very accurate, and that's one thing about Volkov. He's very accurate with his strikes. I don't see it too much against like Vitaly Minikov and Vinicius Queiroz. He's shown to be kind of weak off his back. He doesn't really have much. Doesn't seem to have much of a ground game. Blagoi Ivanov, 11-0 undefeated record with 1 no contest. 4 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. He's 27 years old. Like I said, he's only 5'11". He is a Sambo champion though. He's got a really good clinch game. He's got good. He does have a leg lock game, but one of his problems is that he'll go for high risk leg locks, and the few, like even against like LeVar Johnson, the few times he went for it, or the times he goes for it, it doesn't always, like, he doesn't get the tap, and he loses position. There's still some greenness with Ivanov. Stand-up's good. He's actually pretty heavy-handed. Once, like, the Rich Hale fight, he dropped him. Who did Ivanov fight last? I forgot. Oh, LeVar Johnson, yeah. His cardio, though, has not shown to be that great. This fight's really interesting. Just stylistically, it's interesting. I think Volkov's a better striker, especially at range, especially with combinations. Ivanov's the type of guy that tries to go inside. He can get really sloppy about it too. So this one's kind of hard for me to call because, Ivanov's not a double leg takedown guy. He needs to get the clinch if he's going to get his takedowns. His stand up, like I said, it's kind of more inside. I'll go with Ivanov for the win. I think he's kind of heavy-handed. I think he might be able to get Volkov down to the ground. But, yeah, it's tough to say, because Volkov, especially if he plays the distance game, he can win this one. But I'll go with Blagoi Ivanov to win that one. Okay, on the Spike TV prelim card, we have Cheick Kongo versus Eric Smith. Eric Smith has a 6-1 record with 1 no contest, 1 win by TKO, 2 wins by sub. That has 2 submission wins by strikes. And he trains at Syndicate. A lot of guys out of Vegas are training at Syndicate these days, like Mike Pyle, for example. I think Vinny Magalesh trains out of there now. And Roxanne Modafferi. There's a lot, actually. Cheick Kongo, 20-9 record with 2 draws, 11 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO or TKO. He's 38 years old. He's a good kickboxer, really strong knees. His wrestling's actually improving, both in takedown defense and offensive takedowns. He's always shown to be pretty weak off his back, though. And his chin these days has definitely deteriorated. Knocked out by Mark Hunt, knocked out by Roy Nelson, dropped by Vitaly Minikov. You can just kind of see that his chin isn't as strong as it used to be. Kongo just has way more experience. I gotta go check Kongo to win that one. Next fight after that, Marcin Howard fights Nate Ladies Love Jolly. Well, Ladies Love Jolly has a 13-5 record. 2 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. That's his 2 losses by KO or TKO. He's 31 years old. Pretty good wrestler, actually. If I'm not mistaken. I've seen Nate Jolly fight before. I've also seen him referee a good amount of times too. Marcin Howard, 18-3 record. 4 wins by KO or TKO, 10 wins by sub. He is taking this fight on short notice. He's 22 years old. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's got some strong Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills. Really strong leg locks, man. This guy's leg locks. He transitions from heel hooks to toe holds. In his last fight, this guy, he'll pull guard. And he'll pull guard in really funky ways. You know, in his last fight against is it Derek Anderson, he kind of like runs and just does this like crazy guard pull and transitions to a triangle choke right after that and gets to tap. You know, his stand-up is actually improving though. His stand-up actually isn't that bad these days. His cardio though still needs some work. Despite that though, I'll go with Marcin Howard to win this one. He's fought some pretty high level competition. He's very dangerous on the ground. Stand-up's improving. I'll go with Marcin Howard. Next fight after that, Fabricio Guerreiro fights Shahbulat Shamhalaev. This is a fun fight actually. Fabricio Guerreiro, 19-3 record with 1 no contest. 4 wins by KO or TKO, 12 wins by sub. He's 23 years old. He's actually a pretty good wrestler. If he wants the Desmond Green fight, you can actually see him defend takedowns pretty well. And I think he even gets some of his own takedowns on him. When he fought Patricio Pitbull, though, Patricio was showed to be the much better wrestler. He has some solid ground skills. Stand-up's not too bad either. Young prospect. He's not too bad. But Shamhalaev, man, 12-2 record with 1 draw, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by decision. He also has 2 losses by submission. He's 30 years old, training out of Team Bomb Squad. Other guys that train out of Bomb Squad, Desmond Green. I think Anthony Lyons as well. He's a strong counter striker too. He wants a Mike Richman fight. I mean, he wins with an counter overhand right. He has good ground and pound. One thing about Shamhalaev though, he last fought in April 2013. So there's a concern there. Good fight here, man. Fabricio Guerreiro is a good fighter. He's a good prospect. But I gotta go with Shamhalaev to win this one. He's heavy-handed, good counter striker. Shamhalaev for the win there. Next fight after that, good fight here too. Mike Richman fights Goiti Yamauchi. Well, Mike Richman, 16-4 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by sub. He's 28 years old, trains out of the academy. Other people that train out of the academy, I know like Rose Namajunas trains out of there. There's some others too, and I always forget who else. He's a good kickboxer with some heavy hands and feet. His Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills actually aren't too bad as well. Goiti Yamauchi, 16-2 record, 1 win by KO, 13 wins by sub. He's only 21 years old. He's got some strong Brazilian jiu-jitsu, strong eye off his back, and his stand-up is improving. The thing is, stylistically, it's actually not a great fight for Goiti Yamauchi. Huh. Yeah, because I don't think he has a better stand-up than Richman. And I don't know if Yamauchi will be able to take the fight to the ground very easily. He might even just pull guard and work off his back. It's not uncommon for him to do that. If he does do that, it just depends if Richman can defend that. Jeez, you know, I was kind of leaning towards Yamauchi here, and he can very well win it. And he's a very good prospect. If anything, he might be a blue chip. Prospect. But geez, stylistically, I think I had to go with Richman here. You know, another good fight that kind of shows that he can kind of defend against like jiu-jitsu. You know, a guy with good jiu-jitsu would be Alexander Bezeha. You know, he managed to not get subbed by that guy, and he's really good. Did well on the feet against him, because I think Richman has a better stand-up and might be able to defend takedowns. Jeez. You know what? I was originally going to pick Goiti Yamauchi because I know he's a really strong prospect. But, you know what? I'm going to go with Richman. I think Richman beats him up on the feet and avoids the ground game. Mike Richman for the win there. And the Spike.com prelims, we have Austin Lyons versus Zach Underwood. Lyons has a 10-3 record, 1 win by TKO, 7 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by submission. Zach Underwood, 12-5 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 9 wins by decision. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO. Interestingly enough, he lost to Lyons by a split decision back in October 2010. One thing is, though, Zach Underwood's actually fought some pretty... Ever since that fight, I feel he's fought and beaten the higher level competition. Davison, Ribeiro, for example. Who else? That's actually not a bad win there. Austin Lyons, though, since then hasn't had that same type of success that Underwood has been having. I gotta go Zach Underwood to win this one. Next fight after that, Mike Wessel fights Justin Frazier. Mike Wessel has a 13-7 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He has 6 losses by KO or TKO. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. One thing about Wessel, he's always been a pretty game opponent, you know. I wouldn't say he's great. He actually has some decent wins too, like against Ryan Martinez, for example. Justin Frazier, though, 6-1 record, 5 wins by TKO, 1 win by sub. His 1 loss is by TKO, so he's a finisher. He's never been to decision. He's also never been past the first round. I gotta say that I think Mike Wessel's kind of on something of a decline here. Because of that, I'm gonna go Justin Frazier to win that. Next fight after that, Ben Brewer fights Andy Uhrich. Andy Uhrich, 8-4 record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by submission. Ben Brewer, 3-0 undefeated record, with all 3 of his wins being by submission. He's never been past the second round. Gotta go with the undefeated fighter Ben Brewer to win that one. Next fight after that, Anthony Lemon fights Codie Shuffield. Codie Shuffield has a 4-0 undefeated record, 2 wins by TKO, 1 win by sub. He's only 25 years old. Anthony Lemon, 2 wins, 3 losses, 1 win by TKO, 1 submission win by strikes. He has all 3 of his losses are by submission. He's also on a 3-fight losing streak. He's 22 years old. He's never been past the second round, but out of his 5 fights, 4 of them ended within the first round. He's never been to decision. I gotta go with the undefeated guy, Codie Shuffield, to win this one. And finally, Brian Hall fights Cortez Filia. Cortez Filia has no pro MMA fights. He is 2-0 as an amateur, with 1 win being by TKO and 1 win by decision. He's 24 years old. Brian Hall has a 5-2 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. He's 31 years old. He is a finisher. I'll go with Brian Hall, the guy with an actual pro MMA record, to win that one. Okay, to recap, on the main card, I have Quinton Rampage Jackson beating Muhammed Lawal. I have Michael Chandler over Will Brooks. Alexander Shlemenko over Tito Ortiz. Michael Venom Page beating Ricky Rainey. And Blagoi Ivanov over Alexander Volkov. On the Spike TV prelims, I have Cheick Kongo beating Eric Smith. Marcin held over Nate Ladies Love Jolly. Shahbulat Shamhalaev over Fabricio Guerreiro. And Mike Richman beating Goiti Yamauchi. On the prelims, which are on Spike.com, I have Zach Underwood over Austin Lyons. Justin Frazier beating Mike Wessel. Ben Brewer over Andy Uhrich. Codie Shuffield beating Anthony Lemon. And Brian Hall over Cortez Filia. So that's it for my predictions for Bellator 120. If you have any comments, just leave them below. That's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.